I met Peter with, I was at a beer with Myron Makepeace, who's been a wonderful young musician who I met in 1975. And it was Myron and Peter Cully and Kevin Davies, where I thought, these kids coming from the Nile, this is amazing, because they were so bright. And they were a little bit younger than I was, but they'd still sneak into the Occidental for a beer, so there we go. I've been living south a lot. And I've been writing a sequence called Gone South, and I want to dedicate this to Paul Nelson, who's probably written the most, well, it's embarrassingly insightful. I mean, he read this poem and wrote an essay about it, and I was just absolutely amazed at what he was seeing. It's kind of what I was trying to write, so, you know, there's a careful reader, as they say. It starts with just going to Wikipedia. You know, what do? You gotta say something about Gone South. What does that mean? So here's one definition. This expression is generally thought to allude to compasses and two-dimensional maps where north is up and south is down. However, among some Native Americans, the term was a euphemism for dying, and possibly this sense led to the present usage. Also, head south, take a turn south, go south, to disappear, fail by, or as it by vanishing, to abscond with money, loot, underworld, to cheat, especially to cheat at cards, to lessen, diminish, probably from the notation of disappearing south of the border to Texas or to the Mexican border, to escape legal pursuit and responsibility, probably reinforced by the widespread Native American belief that the soul after death travels to the south, attested in American colonial writing from the middle 1700s. Quote, gone to Texas, absconded, is found by 1839. So, first poem is called In Arizona. In Arizona, the desert, weather within weather, no discernible season, sense of its ancient growth. The sequoia, tree, names I don't know, the desert sand's name or taxonomy, but for this little burst, minute, pink, to cactus red buds, to take as measure. What was or is it in the temporality does not need us, nor without a mind need itself. Thus, it's worse than the puzzle it appears, the desert. No matter the temperature, cold sun stings, this no meaning as is with any sensation being only itself in the same condition. The desert. Looking at an interior, not yourself exactly, but a vast expanse that if you entered, would you be you? This was its fear, your fear, all fear, in whatever risk one or it takes. Going north in Arizona, get back to the literal as communication. Was in a lineup at Bash's with a young man ahead, as my dad once said, whose head fell into a tackle box. Nose rings, earrings, tattoos, skateboard pants, runners with special meanings, and a toddler. Not the toddler, but he was packing a gun, exposed, Arizona law. My sense, to put the groceries down and leave the provocation of threat and trouble. Pat kid's head, blam. Have a nice day, blam. Whatever one could say, taken the wrong way. No caring in this separation. Otherwise, the bartender at the Sultanas in Williams, Arizona, stiffed me for 15 bucks. I hesitate to say America in quotes when, and all in all, sense the largesse, unless I be taken fooled by a more subtle commerce training that leads to belief of total sincerity. Too drunk anyway. And missed Petey the dog as the reason, not the Grand Canyon, to see him again, 100 pounds on the pooled room, table and floor. And the quotidian 35-buck motel and owner Elton, and the line I use, I like you, as a way to disarm the possibilities of its opposite. At the south end of the Grand Canyon, the drop 1 mile down, fear starts. I couldn't look, went into the forest stumbling, told me nothing more than it did in Arizona. I can't time myself. Is that like 3 minutes? Or? And then in the desert, it started kind of not spooking me out, but I'd walk the dog every day for a couple of hours, and these lines started coming at me. And I was amazed at the power of this new muse. To see this desert ringed by what we sense removes it all. Yet the coagulations of its forest alive as context for its various light and range of temperatures, temperaments. Sans solitude, sans meaning, become dust. I am in a desert, more a field. It's dirt, a valley, harrowed, brown, parched, circled, mountains, distant, brown, blurred, boulders, cut back, drop, sky, intensity, blue, footprints, trail. Beauty cannot make it anything else. Hammock to surprise into high desert, mindless, the mind undescribed by elements that form elements and meaning, sun and literal, no cloud, bush, measures wind, dust way off to a horizon south to Mexico, funnels, trails go where? The desert. What failing reveals makes closer the sun, the blanched air to shadow, textures, and desert vectors. These mountains folding in mute desert light. The characteristic suffering humans in relation to this basin, valley, heat bowl, persistent as the force that rejects them. The desert lives like water. Nothing becomes another thing. Body and mind in context, indistinguishable from what defines it, gone south. Does anybody have any water? I went to get a cup and I... Right there. Oh, yeah. Okay, one more. I don't know if anybody's ever been to a place called Slab City. It's in Southern California near the Salton Sea. It's a place with about anywhere from 300 to 1,500 hobos. It's a hobo camp. And my son and I went and stayed there for quite a while off and on. And I never felt more at home than anywhere else I've ever been. It was an amazing experience. And he's making a documentary, and I said, well, you know, as your father, I should collaborate with you. So I wrote this poem, and he said, man, they won't understand it. You got to be there to get this thing, you know. So, Slab City. Google it. You'll see this landscape that I'm, you know, trying to describe here, and some of the people. Slab City. Freedom, unquote, is tolerance, or so I thought, in Slab City, in the range of outliers, hobos, patriots, artists, tourists, military guys in camel, snowbirds, the neo-whats, thus the guns blasts at night into the dark, hot air. No sense we're not there or welcome to a measure of who we are, drawn to some sense of the end of the earth and its ragged, rigged community, a language, human typos. Papa Jimmy De Silva, to survive, greets all with, God bless, I love you, man, then got a beer. Poverty, the hell of any desert, a place, a space marked out, tires, hubcaps, forms of garbage, as set limits versus trespass, which asks, America, unquote, free sans expectations, is the free money useless, a price more so nonetheless. All is gone, I thought, thus necessary to inhabit it as time only, a kind of oblivion. It's all so blue, Tyler said, emerging from the hole. Paul, it's all blue, man, sky and sea, yes, yes. Colors, the primary desert in the desert morning heat. Detritus, us, in the infrastructure when none else appears. Shiny, kid from Minneapolis, of the tree, the grass, the sand, he asked to be here. Notes, breakfast in Nyland. No man is an island unto himself, I joke. Everything, $25. Get to Brawley, take shit in Walmart, then head east to Oasis Hot Pool, Canal's water, the drought. Eddie with a stiffy, caretaker, the pool leering, who not to see such female human flesh. Tess, Amy, follow us back to Slab, sense of safe with us, being aligned with what seems to be. Sense of don't fucking mess with me. The ethos, Sheriff's Drive on through. What is reality? Only the figment of the imagination as it seeks itself? The slab, simpler or more complex than what sociology I can muster? Degrees of heat, the diminishment, measure. No coffee in proximity. Dennis then brings pot and cups, oranges, beer, all at hand. Kid from Hole, Tyler, shoeless. Then a pair appears. Range music, some of the shits, salvaged by sincerity, energy. Oh, the boldness of those who don't care. What a good dog's life beneath the decibels, the noise of guns and traffic, the great rooster, fog dog horn who wakes us, then barking dogs, then gas engines, then human clanking. The sun is up. Do people die here? I've heard ambulances at night. Or in the opposite, I ask, is sex necessary? And no one seems to get the joke. Apparently not. Therefore, the explained end of the world, etc. Here or not here, a question in what guise and sense of one's being. Premature, the dirt that covers us, heavy in its portent, until something happens as it does here in Slab City. Clear elements that no mistake makes less to curse at the slab. No escape of exit is also entrance. Reality ahead, is a sense simultaneous that no one connects, thus becomes connection. Thus the attempt all the more to sense the blue, dark, wordless desert, the disparate selves gathered here. So that's me in Hobos.